Today on Red Dog Bushcraft, a little bit of breakfast while we clean up the backyard. Smoked pork jaws, some Johnny cakes, a little bit of fried eggs, some coffee over the campfire while we clean up. Ought to be a good time. Stand by. Go get them, Lucky. Hey guys, I'm Tim Langston with Red Dog Bushcraft, and today, as we clean up the backyard, just a little bit of a cooking video. I'm going to use something I picked up this weekend while I was traveling. This is hog jaws, or as we called them growing up, hog jowls. It's a great alternative to bacon. I think it's a sweeter meat. This is a smoked cured, and it's cured with water, salt, and sugar. So it has just a little bit of a light smoke to it. Tried it once before. Produces a really good high quality lard, much better than most of your bacons now, which will be advantageous to us. We'll use that when we cook our corn cake or our Johnny cake, and an egg in the pan once we finish cooking up our hog jaws. So stay with me. We'll get to cooking on the outside. It ought to be a good time. Alright, one of the most important things we want to do when we're cooking something like hog jowl is we want to get our pan good and hot before we start cooking. That's going to prevent this stuff from sticking. Like I said, it does have a higher fat content. This top piece here is cut a little ragged. Just trying to pull that apart. We want a good sizzle when we place that in the pan. Now some of these pieces that are fattier, and it's not really the best for making like bacon, which is our goal. We want to eat this like we would bacon. We can pull that off and save it just for when we want to have some grease for our cooking for other projects. But I bought several packs, and this was the one that had the most grease, and I'm getting a little bit low on lard, so I'm going to go ahead and utilize this. We got our coffee on, and we'll get this fried up, and then we'll go on with the rest of our dishes. Okay, I apologize for the noise, but next door they're getting ready to do some tree removal. And when you're practicing your camp cooking at home, that's just the type of thing that happens. And you know, a lot of times I quit videoing during times of noise, but sometimes it's just what's expected, and you just have to put up with it and roll on. So we're going to continue with the video, even though we might have a little bit of noise, as much as we can. Now I just added some yellow cornmeal, and this was fresh ground at our state fair, and I put a little bit of brown sugar in that, and I'm going to mix that up. And now what I'm going to do is add a little bit of water, and that's going to give me kind of like a, I want it to be thicker than a pancake batter, kind of like the same consistency as you would have if you were making hush puppies. And we're going to let this sit and absorb some of that moisture a little bit while our hog jaws are cooking. Alright, remember when you're adding your water, especially if you only take a little bit of the cornmeal mix out with you, you can always add more water. But if you have a limited amount of cornmeal, I recommend that you set some off to the side. That way, if you get it too wet, you can add that dry to it until you get used to mixing this stuff up. Alright, so let me keep adding water to this a little bit at a time, and when I'm done, I'll show you what I'm talking about as far as the thickness. Alright, now this is about the consistency that we want. You can see that I can pick it up. It's not a mush, it's not real milky, it's still a little bit crumbly, but it sticks to the spoon, but it's not liquidy enough. Liquidy, is that a word? That it runs off, it cakes on. That's what we want. Now we're going to set this to the side, let that continue to absorb a little bit of that water, and we'll make that into our cake to fry up. Okay, there you go. Couple different levels of cooking. There's the first couple of pieces we put in, and one that I put in just a couple of moments ago. It's going to get loud. We need to move along with this process. But low and slow is the key. Low and slow. Okay, here's another tip for you. This grate in my pan is set up at an angle. High side here, low side where my handle is. So my doner pieces of meat, as I get ready to take them off, I'll move the meatier parts towards the top out of the grease, leave the fattier pieces down in the grease, and the piece that I just added, I keep that down where the grease is the deepest. What that does is it allows me to get a better cook, but yet allows this to start getting some of that grease cooked down out of it, letting it drain out of the meat, so my final product is not so greasy on the plate. Alright, now that our cornmeal's had a chance to rise, we'll give it one more quick stir just to get the consistency the way we want it. And I'm going to just take my spoon and get me a good spoonful like that and drop that right here in this grease where the grease is pulled on this side of the pan. Go ahead and put me a couple in there. Don't want to crowd my pan too much. So we'll have one to cook here in a minute, and you'll notice that I'm cooking my meat and my Johnny cake all at the same time, trying to make the most use of when my grease is right and my cooking time. Alright, once the Johnny cake had a little bit of time to cook on one side where it holds together, we'll flip them over and then slide them up away from the deepest part of the grease as soon as they're not trying to stick to the bottom. Let them sit there and finish cooking. As soon as I can get one of these out of the way, we'll start cooking our egg. We want to cook our egg last because we want to keep that hot. Alright, we got one of our cakes out, so let's go ahead and fry this egg. Dropping that right down deepest part of the grease, and look at that, got me a little piece of shell in there. Go ahead and dig that out right now. Slide this Johnny cakes over a little bit. We'll let that sit there and fry up in that fat grease. Alright, I know it's loud, but you can see I had to crank up my fire. Now it's getting a little too hot because I'm popping. Here's the way you control that. Just grab that handle and pull off at the very edge of that pan off of that fire. That's the nice thing about these little packing grates. Once again, I'm sorry about all this noise, but you know, at the time I've been shooting this video, they've already cut down one tree except for one section, I guess about 40 foot tall. They're leaving that up while they go to the next one. It's kind of impressive. But noise. So when that calms down a little bit, when you get our hands on it, what we want to do is pull some of that grease and just slop it up on top of that egg, putting it on top. We'll cook that little bit of uncooked egg that remains on top. That's that part everybody worries about, you know, you get sick from uncooked eggs. I'll take care of that real quick. Now let's get this plated up. And here's our end result. The hog jaw, the fried egg, and the Johnny cake. The idea is you want this to be crisp, but not burnt. That'll help you alleviate some of the greasy issues. The Johnny cake, we want that crispy on the outside, but yet still moist on the inside, but no doughiness on the inside. And of course the egg cooked ever how you like it. I like mine fried, a little over easy. Alright guys, had to move inside for the ending of the video. It was getting a little loud outside with the chipping going on. Thanks for joining me as we did a little bit of cooking in the backyard today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Until next time, I'm Tim Langston with Red Dog Bushcraft, home of global safety and survival. God bless.